When you step into the heart of Cairo, there is a place where time folds in upon itself, where the past and present walk side by side. This place is Khan Al Khalili. It is not simply a market, it is a living story, carried forward for more than 6 centuries, told in stone, in lantern light, and most of all, in the faces of its people. In 1382 by Emir Khan Al Khalili during the rule of the Mamluks, Khan Al Khalili began as a caravansary, a resting place for merchants traveling the great trade routes of the medieval world. Here came silks from Asia, spices and gold from Africa, glass from Venice. Cairo's streets filled with voices in many languages. The bazaar grew into the city's beating heart, its reputation reaching far beyond Egypt's borders. What began as a trading stop soon became a meeting ground of cultures, the crossroads of the world. Under the Ottomans, its alleys filled with coffee houses. Poets recited verses, scholars debated fiercely, and travelers shared their stories. Imagine sitting in the glow of oil lamps, the air heavy with smoke, hearing the verses of Sufi poets or the gossip of caravan leaders. By the 17th century, Cairo was one of the world's greatest trading cities, and Khan Al Khalili was its jewel. The same narrow alleys you walk today once echoed with the footsteps of pilgrims, merchants, and dreamers. But history alone does not give Khan Al Khalili its soul, its people do. Generations of families have worked these stalls. The jeweler polishing his silver was once taught by his grandfather. The spice seller measures and mixes with the same care his father showed him. They are not just shopkeepers, they are custodians of tradition, living links between centuries past and the present moment. And then there are the cafes and restaurants. The most famous of them all is El Fishawi, a coffee house that has stood for more than 2 centuries. Here, the Nobel Prize-winning author Naguib Mahfouz once sat to write and observe life. Today, you'll find tourists drinking mint tea at tables beside old Cairenes smoking shisha and debating politics. Street food thrives here too. The aroma of kebabs grilling mixes with the scent of cinnamon, cumin, and cloves from spice stalls. Coffee, strong and sweet, fills the air with its bitterness. Food here is not just nourishment, it is part of the atmosphere, a reminder that life in the Khan is lived with all the senses awake. Today, the Khan is also a place of contrast. Tourists from around the world come here, drawn by the lanterns, the carpets, the jewelry, the promise of Cairo itself. In one corner, you see wealthy visitors carefully haggling over souvenirs. In another, you see the poor, men and women selling just enough to endure. The contrast is not hidden, it is woven into the life of the market. The truth of Cairo is in both its abundance and its hardship. One of the strangest and most unforgettable sights in Khan Al Khalili is the traffic. Yes, traffic, forcing its way through the market's impossibly narrow alleys. Imagine tourists crowding the passageways, vendors calling out their wares, children darting through the streets, and suddenly a motorbike roars past. Sometimes it is a young man, daring and reckless. Sometimes it is a whole family balanced precariously on a single scooter. Sometimes, unbelievably, it is children themselves, guiding the machine through alleys that once only knew the tread of camels and horses. At first it feels chaotic, even dangerous. But it is also part of the rhythm of life here. These scooters and tuk-tuks are not intrusions. They are the lifeblood of today's Khan Al Khalili, just as caravans once were. Tradition lives not in silence, but in motion. Amid the noise and bustle, there are quieter moments. A cat sits calmly in a doorway, watching the chaos with unhurried eyes. A dog sleeps beneath a shuttered shop, undisturbed by footsteps passing inches away. A whirling dervish spins beneath the lantern glow, his robe unfurling like poetry, a reminder that art, faith, and spirit are part of this market as much as trade. Even stillness tells a story here. Khan Al Khalili has always been a meeting place of worlds. In the past, it was merchants from India, Syria, Sudan, and Europe. Today, it is Egyptians and visitors from across the globe. Young people scroll their phones as old men sit outside coffee houses in quiet reflection. A woman in traditional embroidered dress brushes past tourists with cameras. The Khan is Cairo in miniature, diverse, layered, never still. For a photographer, the Khan is an endless canvas. Lanterns scatter light like stars. Fabrics ripple in 100 colors. Faces carry joy, fatigue, pride, resilience. These are not staged portraits. They are real moments. A vendor resting after hours of work, a family smiling together, a child laughing as he runs through the crowd. To photograph Khan Al Khalili is to capture Cairo itself. Resilient, complex, vibrant, deeply human. So why visit Khan Al Khalili? Because it is Cairo distilled into one place. History and humanity, art and survival, faith and commerce, all woven together into a labyrinth of alleys. For visitors, it is a wonder. For photographers, a gift. For those who live and work here, it is home. When you walk these alleys, you do not just see Cairo, you feel it. The joy and hardship, the beauty and struggle, the endless resilience of its people. And when you leave, what stays in your memory is not only the lanterns or treasures you may have bought, but the faces, the families, the voices, the silent animals in the shadows. These are the true stories of Khan Al Khalili. Not just a market, but a portrait of Cairo itself, timeless, vibrant, and unforgettable.